Mirai Nikki, or The Future Diary as it is known in English, is an action/psychological thriller, originally a manga, and adapted into an anime by Studio Asred? I don't know. I never heard of them either. The reception of Mirai Nikki seems to be completely divided. People either hype it to death or they say, LOL, WTF, this sucks, and I have yet to see an in-between. I wasn't sure what to expect going into it, and lo and behold, here is my final verdict. Mirai Nikki is relatively new, coming out in 2011. Unfortunately, its visuals don't really hold up, as it looks at least 3 or 4 years older than it actually is. That's not to say that it's an ugly-looking show, because it's really not at all, but it doesn't really hold a candle to other shows that came out at the time. The visuals are solid enough overall, though, so I won't complain about them too much. The show's audio, on the other hand, is easily its strongest aspect. The dub is absolutely superb, as expected by Funimation. Literally, my only complaint about the dub is the voice of our heroine, Yuno Gasai. I love Brina Palencia, don't get me wrong, she's one of my favorite voice actors. She did Holo, for God's sake, but her performance as Yuno just didn't do it for me. It's not that she did a terrible job or anything, but it was just very unfitting for her character.
You know the whole you can run but you can't hide bit? Kind of fits the situation to a T. So, at least up here we can take in the sunset.
If you watch the show subbed, Yuno sounds fine, but then we have the main male character who just sounds annoying in Japanese. In fact, his Japanese is so annoying that it's unbearable, and it just sounds like he's a wimp. Josh Grelle's performance is infinitely superior, so dub all the way, like, for sure. As for the soundtrack, well, without exaggerating, this is easily one of, if not the best soundtracks for any anime ever. I'm not kidding, guys. This is Yuki Kajira level, at least in my opinion anyway. One of the many things that I love about this soundtrack was the variety. This soundtrack has everything. Calm acoustic guitars, sad piano pieces, full orchestration, epic guitar tracks, eerie tunes, quirky and funny songs, you name it, this soundtrack has it. Not only that, despite the overwhelming quantity of it, the composer, Tatsuya Kato, put equally as much heart into the quality of each song. Here, give it a listen. Alright, I'm sorry, I know that was long, but that's just the tip of the iceberg as to how genius this soundtrack is. Hunt down this soundtrack right now. The show also has 2 openings. I didn't like the second one that much, but personally the first one, wow. Again, without exaggerating, this is my absolute #1 favorite anime opening of all time. If you decide to watch the show, I guarantee you that you'll never be able to skip it, and I almost cried when they changed it. Yukiteru Amano, or Yuki, is a typical young teenager. He goes to school every day, he goes home, does his homework, goes to bed, wakes up, rinse and repeat. Yuki doesn't really like to mingle with other people and keeps to himself, writing down what goes on in his life in a journal on his cell phone. Yuki's only friends are a pair of imaginary super beings, Deus Ex Machina, the god of the universe, and a little girl named Mur Mur. Yuki's simple life is suddenly flipped upside down when Deus gives him a future diary, a bizarre power given to a cell phone which allows him to predict future events. After coming to the realization that Deus and Mur Mur were in fact very real, he learns that he was selected by Deus to participate in a battle royale against 11 other people who also possess future diaries. Deus is dying for some reason, and if a winner who will take the place of Deus as the new god is not chosen by the end of the tournament within 90 days, Deus will die and the world will end. The main heroine, Yuno Gasai, is, well, a little bit crazy.
Big fat hole in the ground for my darling Yuki. Big fat hole in the ground for my darling Yuki. It's all for you, love. All of it gets buried for you. It's the least Okay. What exactly was I doing again?
She's madly in love with Yuki, and that's an understatement. I personally loved her character, not only because she was a total psycho, but also because she was such a tragic character, but I don't want to spoil anything. Now, I only have two main problems with the story. For one, the show has several plot holes and unanswered questions. For instance, we're told that Yuki has been in contact with Deus and Mur Mur, who thought that they were a figment of his imagination. How did he meet them? How long have they been in association with each other? What do they talk about on a daily basis? Why is Deus dying? Just how are these diary users selected? To be fair, most of the plot holes, keyword most, are rather minuscule and only really affect their respective individual story arcs, and most of them luckily don't affect the main storyline. The other problem I had with the story was that there were two very weak arcs early on in the show. Reisuke's arc and the dog arc. Fuck these arcs. They are terrible and retarded and they make no sense. I would say that the story starts off well enough, then it goes downhill during those two arcs. Then it greatly picks itself back up. The latter half of the show also starts to crank things up to 11, throwing in some unexpected twists and turns. As for the big plot twist at the end, unfortunately I was spoiled by a comment here on YouTube, so I can't say if I would have saw it coming or not, but it's still a pretty big surprise regardless. As for the characters, the cast is really quite strong, despite a few weak ones. However, I want to take a minute to talk about our main character, Yuki. A lot of people complain that he's a wimp because of his reactions to things. Everyone is out to get him, and I feel that his reactions to things are perfectly natural, except, oh wait, I guess that all 14-year-old middle school boys are supposed to say, oh yeah, this is gonna be a piece of cake. No, that's retarded. In fact, I'll actually negate your complaint. He kills 4 grown men by himself. Okay, yeah, sure, his future diary was able to predict all of their movements, but regardless, killing 4 adults by yourself as a 14-year-old kid, that's still a really daunting task. Hell, I'm 20 years old, almost 21, and if I were thrown into that position right now, I'd shit my pants, curl up into the fetal position, suck my thumb, and hope it all goes away. His development is also very well done. He'll be in denial about things and then come to realize what he's done. I really enjoyed his character and his development.
So, yeah, what's the deal
Notice
with...
the straws? Drink up.
What in the hell is wrong with you?
As a whole, I actually really enjoyed this story despite its flaws. I found it to be really intriguing, it had some good twists, good characters, and Yuno is one of the best characters in any medium, period. The show is also very emotional at times. I'm ashamed to admit it, but this is one of the very few animes to have ever brought me to tears. If you're into dark and gritty stories, then you'll probably dig this one.
Why you gotta be such a pain in the ass? Oh! Good night!
In the end, Mirai Nikki is a flawed gem. It has plot holes and inconsistencies, yet its tale is still captivating. It's not visually stunning, but its audio is terrific. Everything Mirai Nikki does wrong is counteracted by something it does right. While it's not perfect, honestly, if you don't watch it, I do truly feel that you're missing out on something special. I award Mirai Nikki an 8 out of 10. Some flaws here and there, but definitely worth checking out. This has been Swordfish. Take care, everyone.